At the moment, I've got a lot of. I know I've got a lot of barriers to get through, and I am 100% confident I can tear through them fucking barriers and get to the other side. But when I think about life overall, like the Earth is so fucking. We can't feel the Earth spinning, but it's spinning so fast um, that if it stopped, everybody would die. If our hearts stopped beating, we would die. Um, if a lion stops hunting, it'll die of starvation. But for people, we have it so easy. We go to the supermarket to buy food. We don't have to rely on our animalistic instincts from when we was cavemen. But even though technically we're still alive, and sometimes we get lazy. We think, well, I'll just sit down for like an hour or two and do nothing. But that fucking mindset to have, I used to have that mindset, and I cannot, I cannot be in that mindset no more. Living in that, well, I'll do it later. No, there is no fucking later. Like, in order to change, you have to change something about you. And that mindset of, well, I'll do it later, it's not gonna fucking cut it. It's not gonna cut it. Um, you know, I know that I'm meant to be doing great stuff, and I have been my biggest fucking barricade for a long time. I have been my worst enemy for a long time, and that shit is changing because I am no longer being the same fucking lazy individual I used to be. And that's all the past me. This is the new me. The person who wants to fucking doing stuff like a fucking psychopath, going, doing cold baths every morning, um, press ups every day, going runs, all that fucking, hard shit, man. I live for. I want to be in pain. I want to be fucking sweating. I want that shock as I go into cold water. All that is great stuff. And we don't realize that whilst you're thinking that, oh well, I'll in fact, to sum it up, I read this post on Facebook, and it goes by, so there's one guy working out in the gym, and it goes by, but the pain to success feels like hell. And then there's another guy eating fucking ice cream, being lazy as fuck, and it says the path to heaven, uh, the path to hell feels like heaven or something like that. I mean, I could understand it because once you get out of your comfort zone and you start doing hard shit, and you start to put yourself in that uncomfortable environment, lifting weights, going on runs, um, putting yourself out of that box, wanting to do something remarkable. It might be going to med school or studying something new, signing up for some sort of fitness challenge, an Ironman or something. The end result is always going to be is always going to be great, because once you stick with something that's hard, that feels like hell, the other side of that suffering is just fucking sunny days and that and a whole lot of dopamine. But once you're eating ice cream, you're in that comfort zone watching TV, and just procrastinating, but you feel great at the time. You know, the end result is you're staying miserable, you're staying depressed. You're saying you want to do it, but you don't do it. And that's who I was until I fucking realized, shit, I need some fucking urgency. Like, I need some fucking urgency. And part of this journey is my YouTube channel. And hopefully I'll be showing you um things I do in my life. But yeah, I just don't want to be like everybody else, because once you become civil and once you become civil and average and you start doing shit like everybody else, you lose your edge, and you let other people decide and dictate what your life is going to be like. You know, I can't stand that shit, man. I can't stand to be like anybody else. All my life, I've never felt like I've been part of a group. I've never felt like anybody else, and I don't want to be like anybody else anymore. I don't want to fit in. I don't want to let other people decide what I should do, because at the end of the day, we've got to rely on ourselves to do shit. It's kind of like I'm running through this desert or walking or whatever. I'm going through this desert. There's nobody in sight. If I'm gonna find water, I have to rely on myself to look for a nearby uh, a nearby river or whatever for water. It might be a few, might be 100, 200 miles away until I get to the nearest town. But regardless, I have to rely on myself and my own instincts to get to that water. Every day I live as though nobody likes me, and I have to rely on myself on everything. I have to become my own hero in my own story. Because at the end of the day, I'm not guaranteed, what whether whether if I'm gonna have a tomorrow or not. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, so we've got to live in the now and attack today to have a brighter future. Otherwise, we'll just stay stuck like a fucking broken record player. But yeah, take care, guys.